Hi guys, I'm MightyBalls and today's video is regarding the WZ131. I'm going to give a little review and I'm going to hopefully show you guys how to play this tank. And if you've got no aspirations of getting this tank, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take this down on the battlefield. For you amazing guys who watch me all the time, you know very well I'm going to put this down into 3 parts. I'm going to show you the statistics of the tank, I'm going to show you some replays where I can hopefully show you how to play the tank, and at the end I'm going to give you a roundup to show you what the pros and cons are on this tank. Just before I go over to the statistics of this tank, I'd like to apologise for not uploading any videos or doing any streams in the last 2 weeks. The reason for this is I've been focusing on the new Titan campaign so I could get myself a KV4. I do apologise for that guys. Here's the statistics of this tank. So we're on Tanks GG. This is where you can get all the statistics for your tank. So I've got all your modules, done the Top Gun and everything. I'm only going to show you what AP does. I've got vertical stabilizers, coated optics and a gun rammer. I have a small repair kit, a small med kit and a premium fire extinguisher. I don't have a very good skill crew on this, but I have got smooth ride, snapshot, situational awareness, and I obviously have 6th sense, etc. Also, this has 2094.09 DPM, 250 alpha with a 181 penetration. It's got a reload time of 7.16, which gives it a rate of fire of 8.38. Now the dispersion is 0.36, and on the move tank traverse and turret verse is 0.11, 0.11 and 0.09, which is pretty decent. The top speed is 60 and the reverse is 23 kilometers an hour, which is pretty decent. The gun elevation is 20 degrees and the gun depression is 5 degrees, which is a little underwhelming for the gun depression, but you can work with it. Now my view range is only 440.7. The reason for that is I have no brother in arms, no situational awareness and no recon. As soon as you've got all them, it'll go to about 460, 470, so you should be fine with this loadout. So we're on the live armor view of Tanks GG. If you're looking to see this on the lower plate, you can see 37mm thick and 43 on the top and around 50 in the turret. And the cupola is already 40. So load HE if you see the lower plate, load normal if you don't. Now if you see this on the side, just load a HE, you are going to pen it no matter where you hit it, just about. So if you see this from the rear, load HE, you're going to penetrate this and it's going to hurt that much for him. It's going to feel like you haven't even used lube. So let's go over to the first replay guys. So we're on mines and we're on a standard battle and we're spawning from the south. Generally the people who spawn from the south don't get to the hill, so I'm not going to bother trying to contest that, but what I will do is try and get a couple of shots at the light tanks going up there. I've got to watch out from the one line because it always seems to have people rushing down the one line, and hopefully our team will win 8-9 line if they go that way. So I'm going to go over just up to past this little bush here. I'm going to put in 1 or 2 shots. My first shot's HE, hoping that I penetrate the side of a light tank. I always load HE. Sometimes I pen, sometimes I don't. So there's a couple trying to contest. I see a tank, I hold my shot, I shoot, and I missed, maybe? It looked like it went through his tank, to be honest. So, as I said, I'm not going to try and contest the hill. They always seem to win the hill. I'm not going to fight against a WZ131 as well as 2 bulldogs. So I'm going to come around here, I'm going to hopefully put some flanking shots onto the 1-2 line, put the odd shot into the middle, and if we get overwhelmed on the 8-9 line, run. So I'm going to make sure that these don't try and push. I put in a nice little shot into the turret of the bulldog, and I see myself a T29 trying to cross. I aim and I hit his tracks. Now the one thing you will notice about this tank is the gun is a little bit troll. I hit dirt to the ground there, that one went over his tank, yet both were fully aimed. The mobility of this tank, as you're seeing, well, you're not really seeing because I'm not going very far, but the mobility is pretty decent. The gun's penetration is 181 standard and 244 I believe with gold. Now that's more than enough to go through just about every tank you meet, apart from like E100s and stuff, but you shouldn't really see them that many. It should be like 1 in 6 games you'll see a tier 10, probably even less. So I've put myself put a shot into the T-34, sorry. And I believe I tracked him and he repaired. If not, well, RNG. So I'm going to see if I can just get a shot onto this Pershing. I can't. So my thought is now towards the T-34 to see if I can get a few shots into him, get him killed, and then hopefully flank round and put some side shots into the T-29 from the side. So I've got the front, I put a shot in, hitting him for 260, which is quite nice considering you're reloading every 7-ish seconds. I go for the killing shot and I bounce. So I think, sod you, Wargaming, sod you. I hit the top plate and pen, I hit the bottom plate and bounce. So I see myself the side of a T-29, which was always my point. I put a shot in, setting him on fire. That was nice. He gets a repair from his fire extinguisher. I shoot again and I bounce. RNG slightly again. Or the gun just trolling. I put in a final shot, setting him on fire for the second time and taking him out of the game. So I've done 1,530 damage already. That's a 3,500 just short WN8. That is pretty damn good. But I'm not finished yet. I want to get the A43 and then I see an RT and I think, oh no, I'm going to get shot. I pull back and then my next thought is the RT, sub the A43. I put in another shot, hitting him for 241. So I'm going to try and get this A43. He shoots me. I shoot him for 268, which is quite a nice roll, and track him. I don't bother going for a shot because the Persian suddenly looks at me. He turns, snapshots like a boss because that thing really has the most accurate gun in the game. So I finish off the A43 and securing my second kill of the game. So I'm a bit worried about the TDs. I'm trying to keep myself at distance. I'm looking and I can't see that tank at all, and I'm thinking, has he just shot me through a rock? I'm pretty sure he hasn't, but it just felt like it. So my attention, I'm going to try and take out the TVP and the Pershing on this side, or at least get some flanking shots so my team can progress forward on that flank. I put in a shot into the VTU and I see if I can see him anymore. I can't, so I turn my attention back to the Pershing. I put a shot into his turret. You can't see it. I can see the red on this. It's a bug in the replays for Wargaming, so I do apologise for that, guys. I put in another shot into the Super Pershing and he's down to a 1 shot for some tanks but a 2 shot for me. I put in a final shot, putting him down to 72 health, and my team take him out. So all what's left is the Jackson and the Jagdtiger 8.8. I'm going to speed this up purely because I don't get any more damage, and we should just go over to the next replay. So we're on Fishman's Bay. We're spawning in the south on a standard battle. This is the worst side you could possibly spawn, for my opinion anyway. Now I'm against tier 9s, which is going to be roughly your average tier you'll face. You might find some tier 8s and occasionally tier 10s, but it's generally going to be tier 9s. I'm going to head off to around H or G2, get some flanking shots on the light tanks and mediums in the middle, and hopefully spot for my campers, if you don't mind me saying that, on the 1 line, 2 line, for anyone who rushes up the 1-2 line. Now in the last game I showed you what the gun can do more than anything, which is pretty decent. It can derp out sometimes. Its gun depression is pretty underwhelming. If you can't play with 5 degrees, you're not going to be able to play with this. I get spotted there, which is a bit dangerous in this situation. I must have got spotted from the 1390, so I pull back. But anyway, this game's going to be about mobility more than anything. Just showing you this tank has mobility as well as a gun. So I'm going to put myself just onto this section. As you saw, as soon as I went over a slight dip, the gun depression on this tank is really bad, so you have to work the ridge lines quite well in this tank to get the most from it. So I see myself a 1390. I put a shot into him, hitting him for 257. He's very sore now. He's left on 366. There's a Panther to my left, a J Panther, but I saw him a little bit too late, to be honest. I wasn't looking at my map. I was too busy tunneling on the RU and the 1390. So we already know that the J Panther is starting to flank up this section, and just as I say that, we have a WZ-120 to my side. Now that's an absolute dangerous tank. It can really hurt. I think it's got a 440 or a 490 alpha gun. That hits me twice, I'm dead just about, especially if he rolls high if it's the 440 gun. So I don't particularly want to get whacked by him. I see myself a Pershing. He then ducks down, and then the Chi reappears. Now this is getting a little bit risky here, but my focus is suddenly turned to the Panther 88, and then suddenly I'm spotted again. There must be a light tank again. There it is, it's the RU. Now I was lucky there to bounce a shot from the 1390, but unfortunately I didn't bounce one from the RU251. I then bounced another shot from the 1390. The turret on this is okay. Generally you're not going to bounce a lot. If something hits you in the turret, it's still going to get penned. It has to be an absolute, you know, impossible shot to actually get bounced in this tank. But as you saw, miracles happen. I bounced 2 shots. So it's getting a bit risky over here. I'm just going to head off roughly to the middle, see what I can spot or at least take out down here. I know that the 1390 is on low health, and just to say that, the 1390 goes off to the left to try and help that flank. Now I don't want that to happen, so I've decided I'm going to try and intervene. I'm going to put a shot or 2 into the J Panther, and luckily I set him on fire and take him out. See, miracles happen, guys. So my thought is now I'm going to YOLO this 251. There's only a couple of tanks not spotted, and one of them's RT, so I should be fine. I put in a shot into the RU, and then suddenly I spot a tank, 2 tanks, and I'm cacking myself a little bit. I do a little snapshot. Unfortunately I crash into the building, but luckily they miss. So they've got a T69, the only tank that wasn't spotted apart from artillery, and he's camping with the Panther 88, which I did not expect. I actually expected him to be around B4, but hey, not everything you expect happens in this game. So the mobility on this tank, you can get around quite easily. You can get yourself out of danger quite easily with this tank because of the mobility. So I stop, I aim at the T69. He spots me, I don't know how, or maybe it might have been the Pershing who just popped up. I put myself just below the ridgeline. The Pershing's decided he wants to go and try and YOLO me, which, guys, when you YOLO it doesn't tend to end well, so try not to YOLO any tank. Even if you're in an E100 which has amazing armour, don't YOLO, because at the end of the day, if they can't penetrate you with standing ammunition, they're going to dab the 2 key and they're going to kick your ass. But anyway, my focus is on the Pershing. I get spotted suddenly, he snapshots, I track him and I pull back. Unfortunately, I took a shot which put me down to less than 50% health. So I've got to be a little bit more careful. I get shot beautifully from the Bulldog behind me. I didn't even know he was there. He suddenly got spotted. He's in the ditch at the bottom, so I thought I've got to go and sort this guy out. If I don't sort this guy out, they're going to end up flanking and doing more damage. So I put myself into a place where he can't spot me, down onto the K line. I'm behind the bush. I aim. The aim time's pretty slow on this. It's not brilliant as you're seeing. I'm waiting for him to pop up so I can give him a quick slap. I get a bit bored of him. I realise that my tortoise might be able to handle this, so I start progressing down the one line. I'm going to hopefully take out this Pershing, and then I'm going to take out the Panther 88. Now, in my mind, I'm going to do a rush. This is very dangerous. If he snapshots me and then the Panther 88 hits me, I'm dead. I do a snapshot, I miss, but luckily my team take him out, and I put myself in cover. So the game's looking a little bit grim. Even though we're 10-9 up, we're 1,000 hit points, nearly 2,000 hit points behind. Now that's a lot. That just shows most of our tanks are on low health, where their tanks are on fairly healthy health points. I'm going to go and go. I'm going to go for this Panther. He spots me. I'm thinking, I'm a light tank, and mediums are spotting me before I spot them. So I take a shot, unfortunately. Luckily the arty missed though. And I'll wait until I'm not spotted. I poke out, I spot him, he doesn't spot me, so I take a shot and take him out of the game. Now I'm going to quickly hug this rock. That RT will be loaded anytime now, and I don't want to get spotted. I then progress forward. Now my aim is to try and spot now for my team. I'm going to go around the mid-ridge, try and spot to my right, hopefully spotting the RT as well, because let's face it, the RT is dangerous in late games, especially if you've got vision. But luckily the only tanks that are left in their game is a WZ111 and a Conqueror, both tier 9s. The only tier 9 we have is an artillery player, so at the end of the day it's still in their court, especially on hit points. They're 2,556 hit points to our 1,848. So I don't see anything, so I'm not going to just go YOLOing. I'm a one shot to everything in the game at the moment, so I'm just going to play it passive. I'm going to go around the mid ridge and I'm going to try and, you know, aid vision to my team. After all, I'm a light tank, and a light tank's job is to spot above all. So unfortunately I don't think I spotted this guy. I think it was the FCM. But I shoot and I take him out. So all what's left now is the WZ, who's quite healthy, and the RT. So I'm going to put myself in this bush, see if I can spot him. I can't. But suddenly RT spotted. I think I'm going to have to go for this guy, take him out of the game. And then suddenly I realise he's a little closer than I thought, so I snapshot and I pull in. I make sure I'm behind cover because I don't want to get shot from the WZ111111114. So my team's decided, let's cap, and I'm thinking, really? There's one tank. He then comes off the cap, luckily, as he's coming now for the WZ111. I've got a feeling I know where he is. I think, or I believe, he's behind a rock. So that's the reason why he isn't getting spotted by anyone. So I progress forward into these bushes, and hopefully I'll spot him to my right. I don't want to get spotted, so I'm being quite passive here. I'm not flying out, and then suddenly I spot him. I see his lovely little bum. I put 248 into him, leaving him on a one shot. I'm finally spotted, but he's dead now, guys. Let's go over to the results, guys. So I'm on QuickieBaby's website, which is replays.quickybaby.com. If you have any decent replays, submit to me. Might show him on his replays on his YouTube. So I penetrated 7 tanks, as you can see, doing 3,576 damage with 551 assistance. I had ace tanker and also high caliber in this game. I did 1,431 base experience with 2 kills and 3,576 damage, as already said. I earned 54,375 credits. Repairs was 4,695 and my ammunition resupply was 5,544, giving me a profit of 44,136. With premium 2,146 experience, it was a ×2 event, so I got 6,441 experience with 428 free experience. I did 22 shots, 19 hit, of which 14 penetrated. So let's go over to the second result. So I penetrated 369 tanks, killing 5, doing 2,282 damage with 3,303 assistance. I did get ace tanker in this game, but it doesn't show. I had 1,519 experience with 5 kills and again 2,282 damage. 55,377 credits earned, 5,785 for repairs, 45,764 for ammunition. Wow, that's because of all the gold. And 3,000 for my consumables, giving me only a profit of 828 credits. I had 2,278 experience with premium, which it was a 2 times reserve, so 4,558 experience in total. 17 shots, 15 hit and 11 penetrated. So let's go over to the conclusion. Okay, so we're in the final section, which is basically me giving you the pros and cons of this tank and really how I suggest you play it. So let's look at the pros. Well, the gun has high penetration for its tier, especially being a tier 7. It has 181 standard with 244 premium. That is enough to go through just about everything you see. If you're seeing any 100 in the mouse, don't be an idiot. Don't try and see this frontally. You're not going to pen, not a chance. So don't even bother wasting your ammunition on it. Try and flank round. If you can't flank round, just avoid. The second pro has to be mobility. It has absolutely fantastic mobility. It's 60 kilometers. It's got a decent power to horse ratio, so you can get there quite quick and maintain that speed. Its traverse is really good. It can turn on a dime, and its reverse is 23 kilometers an hour, so you can do a shot, poke back before you even respotted again. And for the last pro, and I know it's only 3 pros, but they're good pros, but for the last pro has to be its camouflage values. I couldn't really show you in these replays because mine's, it's like 500 square meters in map. It's tiny, so everything's going to spot you because you're on top of anything, and there's no real places you can hide. Same with Fishman's Bay, everyone's on top of you, you're within a square or two, unless you're like a 1390 with coffee, full camo crew, everything on it, camo net, you're going to get spotted in this tank, in every tank on Fishman's Bay, shall I say. Now, the camo values really are good on this. It's low profile, it does keep hidden. Obviously, if you shoot and you're only a square or 2 away, you're going to get spotted, but if you're a square or 2 away, don't shoot. Simple, let your team do the damage. So let's move on to the cons. Well, simply the gun handling is quite mediocre. You're going to derp out on some shots, as you saw in the replays. I'd say 1 in every 3, maybe 4, it will just hit the floor or fly off to the right or just go nowhere near where you're actually aiming. Its gun depression is rather bad, to say the least. At 5 degrees, you have to really work the ridge lines, get your tank in awkward positions so you could get the actual gun depression to work. And lastly for me, it's the armor. The armor is pretty bad. Even though you saw me bounce a 1390 firing gold, he must have hit me in extreme angles to do that, because at the end of the day this tank generally doesn't bounce anything. So how would I play this? Well, basically be passive. Use your mobility of this tank, because the best thing about this tank is its mobility and its camo rating. So try and flank around tanks, try and get the side and the rear of tanks like you've seen me doing on all of these replays. Don't try and get tanks frontally, because if you see the frontally you will get killed, because the DPM on this isn't the best. It's not horrendous, but if you come up against a bulldog when you're YOLOing in, he's just going to absolutely destroy you. You might get 1 shot off before you die, maybe 2 if he bounces 1 or 2. So at the end of the day, don't go YOLO. Use this quite passively. Try and spot for your team. If you're getting maps like, I don't know, Ruinberg or Kharkov, try and be behind everyone, just poking out, doing a shot or 2. Wait until there's a part in the game where you can start flanking around to get the rear of tanks and start getting involved in the game a bit more. What you shouldn't do is go YOLOing in, trying to be a bully, because you're just going to get bullied yourself. You also don't try and aggressive spot in this tank unless basically you've got a hell of a lot of teammates behind you, because at the end of the day this doesn't have the armor or the hit points to take many shots. All in all, I think this is one of the best light tanks in tier 7. Only tank I would probably choose for fun wise is the Bulldog. Other than that, I think this is the best tank in tier 7 for light tanks. So I do encourage you guys to go out and actually try this tank. You never know, you might like it. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, or at least it gave you some entertainment or even some knowledge about this tank, please like and subscribe. At the end of the day, it'll help this video and it'll also help my channel. Till next time, guys, see ya.